Good day, good day. It is Sae'Von here once again, and we're going to bring y'all a quick, succinct little industry update on this beautiful Monday morning. And I'm actually recording this from Mexico right now. Yes, indeed. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and jump into it. On today's docket, we have Square mentioning that they're planning on building an open source Bitcoin mining system. Very interesting. I'll share some thoughts on that. Also, Shapeshift looking to create the rarest and most historic NFTs, potentially. Coinbase unveiling its digital asset policy proposal as a means to lobby in DC. Elon Musk up $1 billion in profit, as well as the OCC finally acknowledging cryptocurrency explicitly, as well as Coinbase launching its own NFT platform, as well as the big news. Today is the day, after many, many years, the Bitcoin ETF. So let's start off with Jack Dorsey's plans to potentially build an open source Bitcoin mining system. Now, it should be noted that they, they being Square, Jack Dorsey's company, they have already mentioned that they are working on building a Bitcoin wallet that is going to be designed in an open source capacity. Now, to that end, they plan on building it in public. So taking questions and everything that they do and use, rather, the design of that wallet, they're going to make it open source so that's available for anybody. And on Twitter, Jack Dorsey mentioned that they are looking to take a similar approach when it comes to these Bitcoin mining rigs. Now, it is said that this initiative will be led by Jesse Doroguster, Square's hardware lead, who previously helped launch Square's hardware wallet and custody service. And according to Dorsey, the company will be building the mining system following a similar collaborative approach that was used to develop its assisted custody BTC hardware wallet. Now, a quote about this particular project is that mining isn't accessible to everyone. Bitcoin mining should be as easy as plugging your rig into a power source. There isn't enough incentive today for individuals to overcome the complexity of running a miner for themselves. Now, uh, on one hand, I definitely can see the logic in there of making it kind of a plug and play thing in the spirit of democratizing the whole project and the whole idea that anybody can mine Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, what also must be understood is that, well, for one, it's going to be important how they price this particular device, because if, depending on how much goes into the R&D of this project and the fact that it's open source, I'm going to wager that they're going to take a kind of minimalist approach to developing this rig. And as that being the case, so long, excuse me, so long as the barrier of entry is sufficiently low, then that could definitely get a lot of people in on it. But at the end of the day, it also doesn't need to be a mass market consumer product that millions and millions of people want to use. It simply needs to work and do what they intend for it to do, because it's already tough enough to be profitable when it comes to setting up a full scale Bitcoin mining rig at the present point in time. But if they're able to get the price down enough, then that could really change the game on mining Bitcoin being a profitable endeavor, particularly during the times of more bearish price action or downward price action. So, what I also think is interesting about this story is something we talked about on the industry updates many, many moons ago, was this potentiality of Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk collaborating and building a massive Bitcoin mining operation somewhere in Texas. So the fact that Jack Dorsey has already now come out, they've integrated Bitcoin tips. I keep yawning. I appreciate your patience. Seeing as how they've already integrated Bitcoin tipping into Twitter. We already see in Cash App the ability to buy Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin. This has been a feature for over a year now. And now they've begun working on the Bitcoin wallet, the Bitcoin custody solution, and now they're working on a mining rig. So I think it is a safe assessment to say that they are going, I ain't going to say all in, but they're going very, very deep on this Bitcoin route. So I'm excited to see what's going on. It's definitely going to keep some more mainstream attention on it. Now, in other news, Shapeshift, they are looking to basically burn a bunch of cards for this game called Spells of Genesis. And they've already burned, I believe it is, they've burned a few hundred so far. Let me see exactly what that number is. Slick, doesn't matter what that number is right this moment, but basically what they're looking to do, they bought a bunch of them. Oh, here it is. So Shapeshift, they've already burned 817 of these digital NFT cards titled Shapeshift the Wanderer. And these were originally minted back in 2015. So these are pretty old NFTs, all things considered. And this might even predate some of the CryptoKitties release being that era. But I don't think CryptoKitties were around until 2017. So basically the plan here, and to catch some of y'all up to speed, Shapeshift is a decentralized exchange. And over the last several months, the former CEO, Eric Voorhees, he actually made a move to decentralize the entire platform and put it back into the controls of the people via a DAO structure. And so, in this same spirit, the idea is to burn a bunch of these NFT cards that are really, really OG, I mean, back in 2015, and then leave only a few of these remaining. I believe they're looking to only be left with about let's see, between 16 and 50 of these cards. But the idea being to, here it is, the Shapeshift stated that they will retain 16 cards to sell before 2022 before awarding the final 16 to its DAO treasury. And so what they're hoping is that by burning so many of these cards, there's only going to be a few of these left, and then they will donate and give these cards to the DAO that is Shapeshift at this point. And so then, should these cards become very rare, very sought after, or something like that, then they'll be in the possession of the DAO, which would obviously bolster its treasury if they hold them. So I think that's an interesting little development, but they've made a lot of moves in terms of decentralizing the platform. So that's pretty cool. Now, Coinbase unveils its digital asset policy proposal to spark conversation around a comprehensive crypto regulation. So what I like about this is Coinbase, they're a big company, right? And we saw a few weeks ago they were in a little bit of a spat with the SEC about their Lend product. And basically what that was is it was a option that Coinbase was going to provide to people so that they could earn anywhere from 4%, annual interest. And the SEC came after them, accused them of basically creating a security product in this Lend offering. And instead of fighting them, Coinbase said, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and shelve this whole thing. Now, I think in this situation, it was a little bit of picking and choosing the battles, and we'll get to a little bit later as far as Coinbase launching its NFT platform or its waitlist for that platform. But it's good to see that they're not letting all this damn money, all these billions and billions and billions, and all of this influence go to waste, because by Coinbase putting together this digital asset policy proposal, it is demonstrating that there is lobbying power, there is influence now that can be wielded by the digital asset community. And if Coinbase is willing to step up to the plate, then I am confident that that's going to lead to encouraging others in the space to follow suit, whether they be exchanges, whether they be wallet makers, whether they be DEXs like Uniswap or DAOs. But it's good to see this. Now, Elon Musk, he's up $1 billion, or Tesla, let me put it that way, is up $1 billion in profit from their initial holding of Bitcoin. Now, this is from what they still have on hand, because they did, or at least Elon Musk said that they sold some. So this is based on how much they still have on hand. But it is telling, or I wanted to point this out because it's just a demonstration that this company, they made a big bet, right? And from that big bet, in less than 8 months, in less than 12 months, Tesla was able to profit $1 billion profit. So imagine some of these other companies that have even more money than Tesla that could throw in to Bitcoin or some other asset and get that type of return. You can't always do that. And so I think that's just going to be something that's attractive to a lot of these bigger institutions if they haven't already jumped in, and that could be even more fuel to the fire in this final leg of this particular bull market. And so then we have the OCC, and this is the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. This is where Brian Brooks used to be the head, and they officially acknowledged digital assets and cryptocurrencies in their latest 2022 Bank Supervision Operating Plan. And so in this report, the federal banking regulator listed its 11 supervisory priorities for the fiscal year that ends next September, including cybersecurity, climate change, and, quote, fintech partnerships for potential cryptocurrency related activities and other services. This is relevant because it is showing that more and more digital assets, cryptocurrencies, blockchain technologies, they are becoming a point of focus of these different regulatory agencies and regulatory bodies. And as that picks up, we are going to see very likely some added up and down, some more volatility in terms of fear and exuberance, because one day if there's favorable regulation and the next day there's unfavorable regulation, this is definitely going to sway a lot of retail investors for a while, and even some more of the savvy people potentially based on what these different rulings or these different standings are. But regardless, markets, they need regulation for vast sums of money to come in, because a lot of people, they're not going to really take a substantial position unless they feel there is clarity on the asset class, clarity on the matter. So this to me is just another tailwind or another telltale sign that we are entering in that phase of mass adoption. There are still some fight you phase in there for sure, but we're seeing much more of the acceptance coming in. Now, Coinbase, they officially launched the waitlist to their NFT platform. Now, in a lot of ways, this really shouldn't surprise us, but it is funny just kind of how out of, in my opinion, nowhere they came, and then they're just launching the waitlist. So who's to say how close to completion this platform is? But to my knowledge, they are looking to launch before the end of 2022. So it can't be that far off. Now, what I was saying earlier about Coinbase basically picking and choosing their battles, if there's already some regulatory uncertainty, lack of clarity in the space, there's definitely a good bit of lack of clarity around the NFT sector. And so by Coinbase dropping the Lend product, that can serve as a way to appease these regulators and then allow them to go ahead and push forward a project that in a lot of ways may be more disruptive and more quote unquote dangerous to the current financial establishment in the form of this NFT platform. So my guess is that, to my knowledge, at this point, there's over 2 million people who've signed up. It's either 2 million or 200 million. I think 2 million. Let's go with 2 million people who have already signed up for this platform on the wait list. But at this current moment, the only other main competitor is OpenSea, and they definitely have a bit of a monopoly in terms of the aftermarket of NFTs. Now, there's other platforms like Wearable, Nifty Gateway, One of. There's a bunch of these platforms, but the main player in the resale market is most definitely OpenSea. And so when Coinbase comes in with their NFT marketplace, it's going to be healthy for the space as a whole because there's going to be a little bit more competition with OpenSea. And I'm curious if Coinbase takes any routes or any measures that actually give them a leg up over OpenSea. And I imagine that they would, because they've been able to sit back for a while and observe OpenSea and take a look at what's working well, what's not quite working, and then build those changes, those alterations into their platform from day one. And so, I'm definitely excited for it. I'm curious for it, and something actionable. If you have not already signed up for the wait list, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and sign up for that wait list, because who knows, they could make it where initially only a certain amount of people are able to access this platform, and you definitely don't want to be on the outside looking in, because I have a feeling that there's going to be some time sensitive or exclusive launches and NFTs on this platform, especially when they first launch. So something to look out for. They could even do something where if you make a purchase or you interact with the platform in the first 24 hours, in the first week, in the first month, they may wind up airdropping you an NFT or something like that. They may even launch a coin that is specifically for the NFT marketplace. So who's to say? But I would definitely encourage you to sign up if you haven't already done that. Now, last thing we're going to get into is the much rumored, much hyped, much speculated Bitcoin ETF. It is here. Now, ProShares follows Valkyrie in approval for listing Bitcoin strategy ETF. Now, this Monday, literally today, the 18th, there will be the first approved ETF launching for Bitcoin. Now, there are several different ETFs that are on the consideration table, but there has already been one approved. And let me just double check I'm recording the right one. But it begins trading today. Now, something to keep in mind is that, well, for one, there is always this buy the rumor, sell the news sort of energy inside of markets. And the digital asset market is no different. But what I think is important to keep in mind is that, for one, it is cash settled at this moment, which means that when people are trading this ETF, they are not getting actual underlying Bitcoin. They are getting a cash settled version of Bitcoin, so a fiat denominated Bitcoin. But as more and more derivatives come in, because technically speaking, if it's not settled in actual Bitcoin, it is a derivative. But what this is going to allow is for a lot of institutional money, large sums of money, to enter into the market. But this is also going to allow these same large sums of money to short Bitcoin. It's not that they can't already short it, but putting it in the form of an ETF makes it even easier for them to play both sides of the fence. And in my humble opinion, right, I'm just one guy, but given the positioning of the market right now, Bitcoin has basically doubled in price over the last 3 months or so. And it's called 4 months. There's a lot of money to be made on a short from this level, because it's sitting at a strong resistance point. And if Bitcoin breaks through the $64,000 level, let's really just call it 65 or 70 to be even more safe, then it's going to enter into its price discovery mode again. And from that point to 100,000 is very low friction, in my opinion. But this is a perfect position for them to crash the market a little bit, call it a 15%, 20% pullback, drop it back down to 50K, at the least, maybe even 45 or something like that, make a whole lot of money on that short, and then push it up to 100,000, 150, 200, 250,000. That's very, very likely. And the day that the first Bitcoin futures launched in 2017, when I can't remember if that was backed or if that was, it wasn't backed. I can't remember the name right this second, but it was a different futures contract for Bitcoin. It was another derivative. Literally, that was the day that Bitcoin basically started to crash and begin its downtrend. So I share all that just to paint the picture that even though a lot of people have hyped up the ETF quite drastically, and I do think by and large it is going to have an upward effect on the price in the immediate future, it could very well tank the price, and that would not be out of the ordinary. So just be mindful of that. And if you are a long-term oriented investor, which I encourage you to be, then set up your dollar cost averaging strategy and continue to average in. And if you feel like you're late, then I mean, you could definitely dump some money in and ride it out. But nobody can tell you for certain what the price is going to do. But it is, in my opinion, very likely to go up for at least a few more months, macro wise. But keep in mind that what goes up must come down, and at some point the price is going to pull back. And at that point would definitely be a good idea to start to reconsider how you are scaling out of your position, but also when you begin to scale back in to your position, if that's something you plan on doing, so that you can ride through the next bull cycle in terms of the next halving. So, anyhow, this is the industry updates, and hopefully you gained something out of this, learned something. But there's a lot of news coming in, and expected to keep on coming in at a ever accelerating pace as we push into the back part of Q4. So this is Sae'Von once again, and I'll be talking to y'all real soon. Peace and blessings.